For this math contest type problem, I decided to do a video because it is important to be able to do them. Okay, so now let's work with A. Let us expand it. Alright, so when we have A, we have the following. We have x plus 2 cubed. So what we can do is we can rewrite this as this. X plus 2 squared times x plus 2. Okay, so all we've done is just rewrite this. Just remember that the exponent that's understood on this empty exponent bracket is just 1. So now we're going to use the rule that we studied before. Remember that this is true. And remember, basically it's a plus b squared is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Remember, square the first, square the last, multiply and double. So I'm going to rewrite this whole section here as just x squared plus 4x plus 4. We square the first, as we said. We square the last, as we said. Multiply the two numbers and double it to put the final term. And then we have the following. So now, once we've done that, we have to do FOIL on everything from the first bracket into the second bracket. So we have something that acts like this. So now we have x squared times x, then x squared times 2. So I'm just going to rewrite this to get, well, the combination of x squared and x is x cubed, and the combination of x squared times 2x is 2x squared. Now we're going to do the same type of calculation for the 4x term in the first bracket. So now when we continue, you're going to get the following. 4x times x is going to be plus 4 x squared, and then plus 4x times 2x is going to be plus 8x. Now let's continue with this last one. We have 4 times the x and then 4 times the 2. So now you're going to get plus 4x plus 8. Combining like terms, you'll notice that we have x squared, x cubed by itself. We have two quantities of x squared terms, so we'll add those two together to get plus 6x squared, and then 2x terms, which will give us plus 12x, and just 8. And we're done. I'm going to try and factor x cubed plus 9x squared plus 27x plus 27, and I'm going to put it beside question A so we can directly compare our results. So this is a contest question, so we might have to use some ingenuity and some deduction. So in order to factor this, so we've got x cubed plus 9x squared plus 27x plus 27. So one of the things that you should notice is that if we have a nice factor in here, basically it's an intercept for our graph. And when we go and check this graph, if we punch in x is -3 in here, basically all of this whole equation that we have here becomes 0. So then we could easily say that x is a factor. X equals 3, x equals -3 is an x-intercept if I was going to graph this. So based on that, I can say x plus 3 is a factor. So let's begin with that. So now we've got x plus 3, and then we have x. I'm going to assume that there's an x squared here, because if you think about it, at the front of my bracket, at the front of my equation, I've got x cubed, and the total must be x cubed. So x times x squared is x cubed. Now at the end of my equation, I must have 27, and the only way that's going to happen is if I have a 9 at the end of my bracket. So now we just have to figure out how we're going to get the middle terms. Now, I'm looking at this and I think to myself, well, if I take 3 and multiply by x, I should get 3x squared. Let's just verify that. 3 times x gives us x squared. So that's what we need. So we got 3x squared. And then we need to have something x in the middle here. It's all got to equal to 9x squared in the middle of our problem. And I'm thinking this is going to have to be just 6x. And in order to produce that with the x term here, we need a 6x generated. So we need to have 6x in the center. So I'm actually going to put that in. So now if we multiply this and find out all the x squared terms, we've got, well, 3x squared plus 9 plus 6x squared is 9x squared. Okay, now let's check again. We have to check for 27x. Let's see if that works. So 3 times 6x is 18x. And x times 9 is 9x. Adding those two together, we get 27. So we're good to go. So we're almost done factoring, I think. So our equation is, once again, x plus 3, and then x squared plus 6x plus 9. So let's take a look again. Now, we're going to continue to refer to this equation over here. This, if I take half of this, it's 3, and then square it, I'm going to get 9. This is our perfect cube squared. So let's do the calculation right away. So we now have x plus 3 times x plus 3 squared. X plus 3 squared times x plus 3 is just x plus 3 cubed. And we're done. We factored it perfectly. Now, there might be a pattern that we can follow. So let's go and do this. I'm not going to do part C. It's too easy once I show you the pattern. Let's say I have x plus a cubed. What that really means is you're going to have x plus a times x plus a times x plus a. Now, working with the first two brackets of this equation, we're going to get the following. So you end up with x squared plus 2ax plus a squared. Notice that I've put my stuff in brackets. Okay? I'm going to multiply everything that's here into the next bracket. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the x squared times the x plus a. And we should get x cubed plus ax squared. Now we're going to do the same for the next part. And we're going to get 2ax squared plus 2a squared x, and then a squared times the rest is that. So now I want you to notice that I've made a small mistake on my third line. Correct it to be x cubed at the very beginning. You'll notice that there are two terms with x squareds and two terms with single x's. What we're going to do is we're going to take our time and we're going to group those in the next line so that we have a general equation for our problem. So now we're going to write x cubed to start. And then what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that we've common factored out all that stuff for the x squared term. And we have a plus 2a gives us 3a, which should go in that bracket that we have here. So now that's what we have for our x squared term. Now for the second set of common factors, we're going to have x common factored out, but we're going to bring those two numbers together, and we're going to have 3a squared. And then we have plus a cubed. In general, any equation that is raised to the third power is given by this solution. And what's interesting is as I move from right to left, notice the power on all the x's go down. I mean from left to right. All the powers move down as I move from left to right. And then as I move from right to left, my powers of a drop. But you'll notice that my two coefficients in front of all the variables are still 3 in the middle. It's an easy way to quickly calculate all this stuff. So you could use this to calculate, to figure out what the factors of C is. And because you have this general equation, you can quickly factor it. The moment you recognize that this might be a cube, perfect cube actually. Now, just finally thing, I'll just write this out nicely for you. Basically, the general equation for a perfect cube is x plus a cubed is equal to x cubed plus 3ax squared plus 3a squared x plus a cubed as our final answer, and we're done. That is a perfect cube. So just like we had a perfect square, it's the same concept, except we're having a cube.